for me. I think it's like 3 or 4 major brands that pretty much control all the meat
Yeah.
industry in the U.S.
Yeah, and a lot of those are the ones that have these spontaneous explosions at their dairies and food processing places. So, um, ultimately, you could probably tell by the way that Joey and I are talking about this, we're by no means alarmists that think that that tomorrow, it's going to look like Mad Max and it's going to be a free for all, every man for himself. But there is a degree where in World War II, the American public was encouraged to grow victory gardens, and the whole purpose behind a victory garden was to help our supply chain in wartime to not have such strain, um, in order to provide food for all America. And I believe it was, I'd have to look it up. I had the statistic memorized at one point, but I believe it's close to about 40% of all of the food during that period was grown from these victory gardens, because the average American got out their shovel and their hoe and they went into the yard and they created a victory garden, knowing that it was going to be helping their homeland and their country. And these victory gardens, a lot of legislation has been passed where you actually can't even do some of the same type of practices that were being used during the time of these victory gardens. But either way, the point I'm getting at is we want to encourage individuals to take more autonomy over their food choices, not because you can do everything, because it's important to not be an island. We've talked a lot about that when we had C.R. Wiley on. He talked a lot about um, survival and surviving the apocalypse is not going to be beans, bullets, and bunkers so much as it is high trust communities that watch out for each other. Um, so don't worry about providing every last mean for yourself. But it is a good idea for you to expand your knowledge of these things so that you can have a little bit more autonomy, so that if there is a strain on our food system, you won't be caught unprepared, because ultimately we are believers who want to be able to care for our neighbor, and part of caring for our neighbor is being able to feed them and being able to feed ourselves so that we're not a burden to our neighbor as well. And we
Absolutely.
carry each other's burdens.
Yeah, and I'd say it's just good to know where your food is coming from. And I think that's part of good stewardship. Um, Not to say that it's a sin to eat factory farmed meat,
Right.
but I think if we're wanting to be the best stewards of what we're given, that yeah, we should treat and do with everything the best we can.
Absolutely. Well, growing up in the church, so many individuals want to talk about smoking and drinking and doing drugs as being sinful and trashing your body. But the reality is, we need to start treating McDonald's in that similar way. I mean, the type of
Yeah.
ingredients that are put into these fast foods, they'll stay with you until the day you die. Your body will never process some of these chemicals and just trash that goes into your body. So to some degree, um, it's not sinning for you to go to McDonald's and eat a Big Mac,
But you hear
but
your Baptist pastor who's 300 pounds tell you can't have a beer
yes,
after church.
exactly, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. There are so many uh, individuals in the pulpit who themselves are very much guilty of what we would call gluttony, honestly. And I'm not saying that they are overeating, because sometimes you don't have to overeat these type of foods to get a gut because of the type of product that's in them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's where good stewardship needs to come about, because Lord knows there are some wild ingredients in some of these fast foods. I mean, Joey, is it normal to get your food from the head of a clown, or is it normal for you to pluck it from the ground, from the soil? Uh,
Let me think about that one.
so
Well,
you see my point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could go so deep here. We could talk too about our food causing effeminacy in our modern era too, and all the
Yeah.
soy and pseudo estrogens that are being fed to us, and what the implications of some of that could be. So
Absolutely. There's a lot there, and
It's a
unfortunately,
deep, deep dive.
it is a deep
Just get
dive.
started with a little bit at a time, and it
Yeah,
really doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
yeah. Well, Joey, I wanted this episode to be fun and engaging, and I think it has been. But beyond that, I want this episode to be more really practical application. So, do you have any good resources you can give our listeners for books that you've read that have really helped you, or videos to watch, documentaries, things like of that nature that could start to maybe get them down the process
Ooh.
of more food freedom?
Hmm. Well, let's see. I could have a whole laundry list of things. The Back to Eden documentary is a good one if you're
Yep,
looking into gardening
that is
and
free on
whatnot.
YouTube. Back to Eden.
That's free. Yeah. Um, who else has good instructional videos?
Justin Rhodes has a
Justin
lot of great
Rhodes has a
stuff.
lot of good videos. Um, if you're looking into more, I'd say his videos focus more on the livestock versus. Well, I guess
There's definitely quite a
he
bit of
kind of does
gardening too.
vlogs more recently, more than
A
instructional
lot of his
videos.
stuff is vlogs, not so much instruction. He does actually have basically a Netflix for farmers, or for
Right.
homesteaders, I should say, um, that might be worth looking into if you have the budget for it. But either way, even his vlog videos, you do kind of learn quite a bit even from his vlogs. But yeah,
He's got a book too, which I think is kind of a pretty good. I have it. It's called The Rooted Life, and it's a good kind of basic introduction to some of that stuff. Growing your own food. That's a good one. Of course, anything by Joel Salatin if you're
yeah.
interested in healing the land and
One of the
good
best
management.
ones, if you're not interested in being a commercial farmer but you're interested in homesteading, Polyface Micro is one of the best ones out there. Sorry about the glare, but this is the Polyface Farms is Joel Salatin's farm, and it's his methods done on a homestead scale. And then this book right here, this is the Small Scale Poultry Flock by Harvey Usery, and it is one of the best chicken books that talks through everything you need to know chicken wise. And if you are wanting to get into homesteading, our good friend Dearwoke Christian said that chickens are the gateway drug for homesteading, and
For
I happen
sure.
to agree with him.
My last book too that I remembered would be John Moody's Frugal Homesteader. If you're wanting
Mm,
to do stuff really cheap, John Moody is your go-to guy.
yeah,
I like my stuff to look a little pretty, so some of his stuff I'm not the biggest fan of as far as infrastructure and such, but he gets it done and he does it very well.
yeah. I'm a little more like Mike John. I'm not so pretty with my stuff. I just try to get the job done, but that's where my wife balances me out.